this show today.
I'm so happy.
You couldn't wait. I saw you tweeting during the game yesterday. I know you got.
I don't even know what game you're referring to.
You know what I'm talking about.
He was on one corner with the Patriots. I was on a completely different corner with the Cleveland Browns. And this morning we were both proven right.
It's a great day. Listen, by the way, happy birthday to two of the greatest sports figures of anyone's lifetime, Tiger Woods and LeBron James.
How about
both
three?
Their birthday today.
One of those guys won Decade Athlete by AP.
Oh, yeah. LeBron James won Athlete of the Decade.
The one day we were actually not focusing on basketball because there was so much football to talk about. The playoffs are officially set after a crazy weekend in the NFL. And we're going to start with the biggest surprise to just about everyone, Dolphins included.
Oh, I didn't see this yet.
Oh, you probably did. Check it out, Nick. Patriots hosting the, quote, thought-to-be-tanking Miami Dolphins. 17-point favorites coming in. Remember, the Pats blew them out back in week 2. Yesterday, when they needed the win to secure the bye, they just couldn't do it. They lost to Miami, Nick.
To Miami?
At home, buddy. The loss. Plus, I don't know if you hear this, the Chiefs won. They beat the Chargers, so those two things combined drop the Patriots to the 3 seed, which means...
Do you get a bye at the 3 seed?
They will host the Titans on wild card weekend.
Heavens to Betsy.
And now the Patriots will be on the road the rest of the way if they do indeed win. Let's hear from TB12 after the loss.
Well, it was a great chance for us to not play next week, so... And we didn't take advantage of it. We just didn't play good enough, and we all wish we'd have done a better job. Certainly, I do.
I have to ask how surprised you were at the outcome of this game, Nick.
I was gobsmacked, shocked. I don't know that there have been 5 people more pessimistic about the Patriots in 2019 than me. And I was stupefied that they lost this game this way. Forget the Patriots part of it. They're 17-point favorites. That's the biggest upset in the NFL in 20 years. Not in Week 17, not in New England. Whole league, 256 games a year, 20 years. We're talking about over 5,000 games played. The biggest upset in 20 years was yesterday in New England. What was on the line? The bye, which we know. Canty, this is one of your, I would say, most basic points, but one of also the most important ones. Hell of a lot easier to win 2 games than to win 3. Hell of a lot easier with a week of rest, guaranteeing at least the divisional round in your building, if not both rounds in your building. And that is what New England has lived off of for a decade. Had a bye every single year since 2010, and they've made the conference championship game every single year since 2011. But it's not just that they lost this game in this context, but the way in which they lost. New England, since Brady has taken over at quarterback, 136 times they've had a 4-point or greater lead in the fourth quarter at home. They were 135-1 prior to yesterday. The one loss was the opening week game to Kansas City a few years ago. And they lost to Ryan Fitzpatrick after Brady actually did, driving down the field. To his credit, he had a good final drive of the game, or what could have been the final drive of the game. And then you don't just let Miami drive the field, Canty. It's 13 plays, 75 yards surgically. It's not one big busting coverage. Devontae Parker goes for 65 yards. No, they had one play in the whole drive greater than 10 yards.
And that was the throw to Devontae Parker where he cooked Stephon Gilmore.
Who you brought up before the show. He was giving him the work. The guy who I thought was Defensive Player of the Year through 15 games, not so much through 16 games. And now the Patriots have a very live Titans team. Then if they get through that game, they are in Kansas City rather than the other way around, and in all likelihood a little more banged up than they are now after a playoff game. So I cannot believe they lost this game the way they lost it and to whom they lost it with what was on the line.
Yeah, it's what it looked like, because if you were to tell me that the Patriots would have a 4-point lead with less than 4 minutes to go and Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Dolphins have to drive the length of the field in order to have a chance to win that game, I would have said no shot. You're talking about a team that's in the bottom 8 in turnovers, a quarterback that's prone to throwing the ball to the other team. But to Ryan Fitzpatrick's credit, he played a clean game, and he's put his team in position to win. He threw a lot of 50-50 balls up there, and his receivers were able to come down with him, going up against what we have been calling the best secondary in football the entire year. Mentioned Devontae Parker. He had 11 targets, 8 catches for 137 yards. with Stephon Gilmore shadowing him for the majority of the game. So the guys that the Dolphins needed to make plays stepped up and made plays. And I guess the thing that shocks me the most, Jenna, is that the Dolphins' offense was one-dimensional. They didn't have any running game to speak of. I think they had 63 yards rushing. So going up against one of the best defenses in the National Football League, and you made the opposing offense one-dimensional, and you still can't stop them at the end of the game with such importance in terms of the stakes in the playoffs on the line. That to me is the part that's inexcusable.
But what's the one thing the Patriots didn't seem to have that the Dolphins of all teams had yesterday? If you watch that game, it looked like the Dolphins had confidence. They weren't playing for anything. They went out there and they played their best. The Patriots looked like they were just pressing really tight, which is something you saw at the end of the first half.
Well, the end of the first half was, in real time, a jarring moment. This isn't Monday morning quarterbacking revisionist. The Patriots have their best drive of the half. This is after the Brady pick six, after they fall down 10 points. They get a field goal, they get a stop. They then go 5 plays, 82 yards, and on that drive, Brady has his biggest play of the game, the 50 yards Philip Dorsett. They then immediately force a 3-and-out. That 3-and-out happens with 1:51 left in the first half. The Dolphins have the ball on their own 20, with the Patriots having all 3 timeouts. And Bill Belichick does not call timeout, does not give Tom Brady, coming off his best drive, the offense with a chance to take the lead. Conditions pretty good. 1:45 and 2 timeouts is what the Patriots could have gotten the ball back with. Instead, he lets the clock tick all the way down. Brian Flores and the Dolphins smartly take the whole play clock. They punt away. Patriots run the ball up the middle, the clock tick down again, run it again, go into halftime. That it was such an indictment on the faith Belichick has in the offense. Maybe it's because last week in Buffalo, they went for it near the end of the first half. Remember, they go for it on that 4th down, and leads to Buffalo getting the touchdown with 6 seconds left in the half. But after Brady has his best moment of the game, that 5-play, 82-yard touchdown drive, to not give them a chance to get a field goal. They needed 40 yards. In 1:40 with 2 timeouts is what they could have had to get in field goal range. To not do that, that loomed large the rest of the game, Canty.
No, you're absolutely right. But I don't think that Belichick has any confidence in his offense just because they've shown him for the majority of the season that he shouldn't have confidence in this offense. And we keep waiting for the Patriots to figure it out. And we just have to accept the fact that this group, the 2019 offense for the New England Patriots, won't figure it out. This is the worst offense that Bill Belichick has had in New England this decade on a yards per play basis. So going into the postseason, I don't have any confidence that this team is going to be able to flip a switch. This offense is all of a sudden going to get it together. And in the way that they lost yesterday, it felt like that Patriots defense was all out of favors for their offense. Think about what their defense and their special teams has done all year long. Stealing extra possessions, scoring on defense and on special teams, blocking punts, creating field position. All of those things all of a sudden went away in that game against inferior competition. You're talking about a double-digit loss Miami Dolphins team, and somehow with a bye on the line, you're not able to come through and get that win. That, to me, is surprising. It's not easy to roll into Foxborough and get a win in December. But the fact that the Dolphins were able to do that, that should be a flashing red light for the New England Patriots going into this wild card matchup with the Tennessee Titans team that's dangerous.
And look at the difference between the way the Patriots defense played in week 2 when they lost to the Patriots and what you saw yesterday
after week 2, after the 43-0 victory over Miami, some headlines about the Dolphins. Washington Post, 0-16 as possible. Miami Herald, worst team ever. Dolphins have become national joke. Forbes, Dolphins on pace for worst offense and worst defense in NFL history. That team just went to Foxborough
and beat them.
Executed a 4th-quarter comeback, had a pick 6 on Brady, beat the Patriots, and now New England's playing a wild card weekend for the first team in a decade. It is a shocking turn of events for anybody watching football yesterday.
Last time the Patriots played on wild card weekend, it didn't work out for them. Just gonna put that out there.
You probably know that. Patriots lose to Miami and in the process lose the bye. We will talk much more.